Hey everybody, it's Tyler with Green Mountain CrossFit. I'm here to go over 16.1 for mortals. So there's a lot of other great information out there that you may or may not see that applies to really elite level athletes. I'm going to go over some stuff that will hopefully help you guys with some of the things you're going to run into. So we have this beautiful strategy written out by my friend Orion. Sniff my armpit clearly is the most important part here. So I think we're going to try again. Hey everybody, we're back, take two. So no more armpit sniffing this time. We're going to talk about 16.1 for mortal people. That's me, that's probably you, that's probably most people doing the open here. So I think I mentioned it earlier, there's a ton of great resources out there, a couple of them right off the bat that I'm going to throw out. If you are a super competitive athlete, if you really want to think about shaving some seconds off of your rounds, getting those few extra reps in over the course of this 20 minutes, the Outlaw Way has a great prep video. I think it's 10 to 15 minutes long, somewhere in there. That's worth a watch. There's a lot of great stuff in there. The Mobility WOD, Kelly Starrett, has another fantastic video he put out. I think he even put it out before they announced the workout, I'm not sure. But he talks a lot about how to approach the open in general. So in terms of when is game day, how do you taper leading up to that? How do you prep for a workout? What's your sleep and nutrition look like? And how do you start to correlate these things into a comprehensive picture of your performance? It's definitely worth a watch. I think that's another 10-minute video. Probably by the time you watch all the prep videos out there and read all the prep articles, the time for submitting scores will be done and gone long ago. So don't waste a ton of time on the internet, you guys. More important to get into the gym and do some work, of course. Normally I write a blog post. We're going to try a little bit of a different format. I'm going to do this quick video this year, so hopefully you guys can get in, get the info, and hit the workout. So 16.1 for mortals. Yes, that's us for mortals. 20 minutes. In 20-minute workout, the name of the game here is consistency. The name of the game is keeping your breathing and your heart rate under control. The name of the game is not classic CrossFit, 3, 2, 1, go like a bat out of hell, run into a wall, and then suffer miserably for the next 17 minutes, right? So we want to start a little slower than you think you might need to, and we want to try to hold that pace consistently. And I guarantee you, by the end of 20 minutes, you're going to be working hard to keep that pace steady, right? So save some gas in the tank out of the gate. You're going to need that later on over the course of a 20-minute workout. I'll link you guys somewhere on here to the CrossFit Games Standards video. You guys should all know this by now. I'm not going to go over those in a whole lot of detail, except for a couple points that I think are really important. Workout begins, 25 foot, walking lunge. For most of us, we've got the bar in an overhead position, right? Grip width ideally wants to be about shoulder width from a mechanical standpoint. That's going to be a much more efficient position to maintain. However, if you cannot lock your elbows at a shoulder width grip, you may need to go out a little bit wider in order to get the elbows locked. And that's going to be a big piece of staying efficient. As soon as your elbow bends, you've got a ton of work to do to keep that bar supported over your head. And as soon as the bar is not over your head, you're losing time and you're losing a lot of energy and you're redoing lunges. So don't let that be you. Keep the elbows locked. That means shoulders are going to play a big role in this, right? You're going to spend a lot of time overhead. In general, with the lunge, we are going to want to rush through a little bit, and we're going to want to step right through on each lunge. Make sure that you're hitting lockout if you do that, at the hip and at the knee. If you're not locked out, if you're missing that lockout, or your knee misses the ground because you're rushing, you're going to have to go back. You're going to have to repeat lunges. Again, that's a ton of wasted energy. I really think it's not a bad strategy for mortal people to bring your feet together and stand on 2 feet for a split second in between each lunge. It gives you a chance to reset yourself, find your balance. It gives you a chance to ensure that you've hit lockout before you go to that next rep and you don't end up going backwards on this. And think about how you're going to feel 10, 12, 13 minutes into the workout. Gary, 13 minutes and 27 seconds is, I believe, the number I need you to think about, right? So think about how far in you're going to be or what your movement's going to look like 2/3 of the way through the workout. And that's kind of what you want to be able to maintain all the way through, maybe halfway through. You want to start out like that so that you can finish like that and you don't end up completely falling apart at the end of the 20 minutes. So close the feet in between each lunge. For mortal people, I think that's a great strategy. It'll also help keep the heart rate down so you're not moving quite so fast. Lock the arms out, really important. Make sure that hips and shoulders are open. That's going to be really helpful for those lunges. Scaled folks, you've got a front rack lunge. This is a front rack walking lunge instead of overhead. They didn't specify any particular front rack grip to be used. So if you're somebody with tight shoulders or limited range of motion in the wrists, go to this Genie front rack. This meets all the front rack standards, and it may save you a lot of wear and tear on your shoulders and your arms, right? So that's going to be a helpful tip for those of you in the scaled division. For anybody, something that Rudy threw out in the Outlaw video that I mentioned earlier is to mark your steps, right? Whether that's right, left, or you put little washers on the ground or X's, mark it with chalk, whatever you're going to do. Having a number of paces that gets you 25 feet and being able to hit that consistently is going to be super helpful. What you don't want to happen is to be working really hard, your steps keep getting shorter and shorter, and you end up 6 inches shy of the final 25-foot line and you have to do an entire another lunge. That's a whole lot of energy on that. So, while that's not the end of the world, nothing is going to blow up and fall apart. If you miss that last lunge by 6 inches, it means you have to do more work. So, having a mark on the floor is going to give you some consistency. And remember, 20 minutes, consistency is the name of the game here. Right? So, 25-foot walking lunge. At that point, you've got 8 bar-facing burpees, right? These are everybody's favorite. You are facing the bar. So, efficiency tips on these, right? Everybody knows the burpee. We tend to hop up from the burpee and then hop over the bar, change directions, whatever that's going to look like. We know from the thruster burpee workout a couple years ago that stepping up from your burpee saves a ton of energy. It keeps the breathing under control, keeps the pace controlled, keeps your heart rate controlled. And over the course of 8 burpees in a round, if you are a mortal person doing sort of 4 to 7 rounds in this workout, maybe you're getting into round 8, that means you're doing probably 50-ish burpees, give or take. You're not going to lose a whole ton of time or sacrifice a whole ton of reps by stepping up from the burpee versus jumping up from the burpee. And that saved energy is going to allow you to stay consistent everywhere else. So rather than jumping all over the place and jacking your heart rate up like some kind of weird rabbit, try to step up from the burpee, hop over the bar. You do still need to have the 2-footed takeoff and landing, so make sure that you're not stepping over the bar itself, just stepping up from the burpee. Another 25 feet of walking lunge. Walking lunge. Everything stays the same, right? We already talked about this. Lock the elbows, open the shoulders, get the hips fully open. Steps 2 feet together in between each lunge is going to help you stay paced a little bit better than trying to lunge straight through, right? The last bit here is 8 chest-to-bar pull-ups, or chin-over-bar pull-ups if you're in the scaled category. I believe for some of the scaled teams and masters, you can double-check this on the games site, but I believe they're regular jumping chin-over-bar pull-ups and unweighted lunges. But for most of us, we're doing either a chin-over-bar or a chest-to-bar pull-up. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, for mortals, remember that's me and you, the chest-to-bar pull-ups is where the rest is, right? This is where you're going to have a chance to give your legs a break. This is really going to depend on your individual pull-up strength and capacity. If you are someone with 20 plus unbroken butterfly chest-to-bar pull-ups, then you may be able to bang out sets of 8, no big deal. Understand, however, that means you're going to get very little rest. You're going to spend maybe 20 seconds on that unbroken set of 8 butterfly pull-ups, and you're going to have very little rest before you come back to these other pieces that are going to toast your legs and your hips. For most of us, I think smaller sets, right, of regular kipping chest-to-bar pull-ups, or butterfly if you've got them, but smaller sets of 2 to 4 reps with measured rest in between, 10, 15 seconds of rest in between. If you can do a set of 2 reps every 15 seconds, you're going to finish these chest-to-bar pull-ups in about a minute, right? A couple seconds more than a minute. That's a pretty solid pace to maintain. Again, just like the lunges, just like the burpees, think about what is your pace going to be halfway through the workout. That's where you want to start, and that's where you want to finish, instead of finding this, steep curve where I come out really strong and I just fall off and everything goes to hell. So,
Small sets with measured rests in between. Keep it consistent so that you can maintain all the way through the workout. Remember, consistency is the name of the game. I'm going to say that probably 5 more times before this video is done. Hopefully that starts to sink in. In terms of prep, what do we want to do, right? In terms of mobility, I'm not going to go over all the specific mobilizations. You guys have a ton of these at your fingertips now. There's this really cool thing called the internet. It's where you're watching this video. Do a little bit of Googling, and you can find a bunch of this stuff. You've also done a bunch of this stuff with me in class and at the gym. So pick your favorite mobilizations for these. But target areas you want to hit, right? Number 1.
All right, take 3, 4, I don't know, technical difficulties, sorry. Anyways, prep for this stuff. Mobility-wise, shoulders need to be open, right? That looks like a bunch of jumbly stuff there. Hopefully you can read it. Shoulders need to be open. So pick your favorite mobilizations. Common limiters, thoracic spine being stuck in a turtley position, chest being tight, the pecs and some of the stuff in the front of the shoulder, traps, and then lats on the back, these big giant pulling muscles. All of those things, if they're really tight, are going to limit your overhead mobility. Hips. Front of the hip in particular, so couch stretch is awesome for this. Lots of other, you can get in there with a kettlebell and mash the gut sort of in front of the or above the hip there. Lots of different options for this one too. Again, if you're one of those people who has really tight hips and you walk around like this all day and you can't put your arms overhead, those lunges are going to be awful and they're going to fall apart really fast. We saw this earlier with somebody who tested the workout. Tight shoulders, tight hips combined turned into walking lunges that ended up breaking up into sets of 10 feet and then 15 feet and before too long into 5 feet at a time. So make sure that shoulders and hips are clear and you can be in as mechanically solid of a position as possible. That's going to be super helpful. Spend a few minutes here during your warm-up or preferably even before you come into the gym, because we all know that the gym gets crazy and you may not have the right color lacrosse ball or your favorite pair of socks or the right stretchy band that you normally use or the bar that you normally set up at. So if you can mobilize beforehand, that's awesome. That allows you, when you come into the gym, to focus on warm-up. This is an aerobic piece. It's 20 minutes. This is not a fly and die, right? So what I do not want you to do is come in, decide, the first 5 minutes of the workout is going to be my warm-up. No big deal, bro. I'm going to hit it hard. It'll be awesome. I want you to spend some time, maybe 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more even, getting your aerobic engine going. Your body should be warm. You should break a sweat. You should be breathing a little bit hard, and then you should have a few minutes to rest before your heat starts. But make sure that that aerobic engine is up and primed. Make sure that you've also had some time to incorporate within this aerobic warm-up some dynamic stretches that will address shoulders and hips. Right? So things like Spider-Man steps are great. You want to throw some push-ups or some burpees in. I love hanging, personally hanging work from a bar to open up the shoulders in that overhead position. Remember, you're going to spend lots of time there, so make sure you're opened up and loose. Also within the warm-up, you want to get a barbell overhead or into that front rack position. You want to do some movement, some squats or some lunges with that. Get into the shapes that you're going to be in during the workout. There's not a lot of different shapes here. You've got overhead, you've got lunging. Make sure you hit those things during the warm-up. We all know the gym gets crazy on game day, right? So I'm not going to give you a very specific prescription for warm-up. You guys all know how to do this. This is not your first rodeo. If it is your first rodeo, ask some other people around who are in the gym. They're going to know what's going on. Do what they're doing. Like I said, 10 to 12 minutes, general aerobic warm-up, some dynamic stretches. This is all stuff you've done in class. It's all stuff that you know. If you have more specific questions, I'm going to have a mobility prep session prepared on Saturday before the heats start for those of you who want some more specific directions. Otherwise, I'm going to stop talking so you can stop staring at the screen that you're looking at right now and go move and get yourself ready to hit this workout, right? 16.1, open season is here. For mortal folks, that's me, that's you, that's most of the other people doing the open here. Hopefully this stuff has been helpful. I'm going to try to splice all this together into one semi-intelligible video that takes up a little bit less of your time, maybe, than watching everything on the internet. So, with that, have fun, and we'll see you at the gym.